Hi, my name is Zilkin, and I'm going by Prophet Hanna. I'm doing another entry today, and today has to do with some of the challenges. First of all, a lot of people don't understand what exactly is going on. That's the first thing. So, effective 1998, my brother brought out The Devil's Tongue. Now, The Devil's Tongue, historically, is responsible for easily over a few million or billion people death. Now, this includes slavery. So, somewhere in history, and I'm looking at the Greeks in a humorous way, but there's nothing funny about it. Somewhere, someone opted to do things backwards. That is the group of Indo-European linguistics. Because they were associated with academia, it brought down every kind of previous history. Now, to be a Jew, they're so neurotic about hygiene and cleanliness, they started eliminating history with the devil's tongue. Now, you would think it's not a big deal, but it's actually a humongous deal. When he brought it out, I'm going to bypass all the intel bit. In 2003, I was working on Iraq. We are estranged siblings, and I thought my brother was off his loony chair. I really thought he was nuts. Well, in 2003, with the ethics, all of a sudden, Hannah got embroiled in Turkology. Now, that was because she was actually doesn't even know anybody Turkish, but what ended up happening is because of him, or possibly the ethics portion of her Iraq work, when she stated, hey, you're too close to holy, there was a back and forth story. So this is one of the longest stories in history. If we do the summary movie, it's actually very, very interesting. This is Hannah trying to channel a lot of the confusion over the Sun collection now that was generated to diffuse a lot of that anger and bitterness. Now, the average civilian won't get certain things in the background, but if you have a base understanding of religion, theology, politics, anthropology, a lot of things, it's actually very scary what one female generated to kind of diffuse subconsciously events that were going on in the background. And that's the honest truth. So this is where we are today. Today we have militia going country to country, whacking off communities of people because of the Indo-European languages. Now you have to understand, Indo-European is one of those things that is linked to academia. Greece was Socrates and philosophy, architectural and mathematics. If you go to Turkey and you look at a house and it looks like an amazing piece of architecture, it's probably Greek. If you look and you see another house that looks like a hut, that would be native. And this is the honest truth when we think of Persia and its advancements. This doesn't mean China doesn't have its goodies or India doesn't have its goodies, but this is the realm in Anatolia. Even our henna is very, very primitive versus that of India. So these are some of the challenges that are things that are going on in the background. So what else is happening? These militia, as they go country to country, are making anything linked to Asian or Turkic people or black. They're just reenacting history almost, and we lost quietly millions since 1998. And it's not funny. Even with Prophet Hanna, and this is how come it got embroiled, technically Prophet Hanna owns all of it. She's trying to push it into a corporation. It's Europe who is in the front of her, battling her, using a lot of their Vatican people, mob people. They're paying the Indians, and it's a real disaster because think about it. You own it, and you can't enforce it because all these people are in front of you as they push, this old psychology of Indo-European. Now you have to think of the Holocaust too. Now I brought out some certain things that would make you cringe, part of Blue Mountain Mist history, but those poems are, some of them are coded. Now when we look at the Holocaust, a lot of Russians died in the Holocaust, but nobody ever talks about them. This is, again, Europe reliving its history, trying to crush people, and that is what we are horribly against, because a Negro is not a Negro. It is part of a landscape that has taken thousands of years to generate, and replacing it with someone East Indian because you're being pushed by Europe is the worst wicked evil anybody can do. Or sticking someone who's Indian in Taiwan with a different political agenda is also the worst thing you can do, because you are piggybacking off two things, off Europe and off Prophet Hanna's $40 billion empire. So it's a big problem. So when I was working in the office, the first thing I caught, now this is why it goes back and forth. It's almost like Hanna versus Lucifer. Constantly, it's a ping pong between the two. And it just like, heads were turning right, left as the ping pong went on back and forth. Hanna today looks like a disaster. Now, the Asian community got hammered in Canada. Again, it's that Indo-European hand that is pushing academia when Prophet Hanna is telling them to back off from these people because we need that variety. And she hates what they did with the dumbification project. So they're replacing Negro with Indian, or they're replacing Taiwanese with Indian. They're replacing Russian with Indian. We don't do that for political gain. We don't do that from a cultural perspective. Yes, regrowth is very, very important, but it mixes in anthropology, it mixes in culture, but Europe is too afraid they're going to be swallowed by the Turkic portion. Now, this is why it is part of Cluster Three's history. It's a hidden war, and the Turkologists are fighting on one side while the Europeans are fighting on the other. They're trying to crush this project. We don't want it crushed, because Hanna, now leading the Turkologists, is telling them, by fluke, she was an office girl chosen. It wasn't a regular person that was chosen. It's a complete fluke, the entire story. So if we were to ever do the movie, you'll see how fluky it really is. If you're atheist, it's just 1 in a trillion statistical probability. If you believe in God, then it is God. But in the sense that, the battle is with the Christians and with the Muslims, as the Muslims got doubled and some of the Christians got doubled. And these militias are going on from country to country, swallowing and stealing, using a medical device that Prophet Hanna's work was able to grow, which is one of the worst things that Canada did in error, as they brought out a decoy. So this is part of a long, messy political story that Hanna's trying to cut down. But why am I here today? I am here pleading with the militia to just stop invading countries, to really just help out with part 2 of the work, because all that fighting is unnecessary. Here is a specialist who's designing the globe, not the globe, just the proposals. And it would be nice to just get a womb perspective. But I have the female assassins, I have the American military, and they may be needing help, as a lot of people are ganging up on them, but they might have been doubled and switched places. It's one of those awful, awful wars that is hidden. It's in the dark, if you notice, and we don't know what is going on exactly from a fighting perspective in the background. We just know that the numbers are falling. All I'm saying is, please stop putting down people because of political racial profiling, and just hear out project number 2. Now, why haven't I done it? Because they've been so damn disrespectful. I'm trying to pull the revenue back into Canada and back into the United States. They're taking it to grow weaponry pretty much. And this is why we're so busy battling over the course of how many years now. This escalated in the year 2000. Now, if this was planned, it would definitely be in the year 3000. It's a real authentic warfare, and it hasn't been fair to the men in armed forces. And in Prophet Hanna's body with spyware, they're using distortion. So you think you're talking to someone black, but it could be someone Chinese. They've switched places. You think it's someone Scandinavian when it's really someone Russian. It's really, really awful. And we're not doing it to humble or scare people. We are just doing it to really promote part 2, which is just an exhibit for humanities to see from a professional perspective of a woman. And it's a nice change for once, as you know, they're in Taiwan right now or wherever they are, injuring people or hurting people. That's the latest thing I heard on, the media thing. That could be old news. That could be fake news. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is from a population perspective, we're falling at an alarming rate, and it's just one day you just wake up and you have cancer, or one day you wake up and there was a car accident or an aneurysm. A lot of those things going on, and it's really not funny, as we're losing a lot of people for that new world order with Europe at the top, and a lot of the race has gone extinct. It's really, really evil. It's really, really awful, and we're pleading to just hear out part 2. But I can't do part 2 if you've taken the money and you're growing some device overseas. It's a declaration of war pretty much. So this is where we are today. Another entry. Thank you.